What's up, guys? It's John here, National Sports Entertainment. And I wanted I've got a bunch of requests on the Cleveland Browns game because a lot of people are noticing narratives being pumped about particular players and just the game in general. And I was looking at that game, and that's when I stumbled upon this, which brought me to another game that's been brought up a lot in the comments. So if you guys could listen to this and just tell me if anything unusual comes to mind. So as you can see, this gentleman just went on to, when referring to the Falcons and Mariota, talk about the Minnesota Vikings can be explosive. And then when he was referring to the Browns, he almost said Minnesota again can run the ball and that it was going to be a dogfight. So maybe it was a Freudian slip. Who knows, right? I mean, I think he was looking at the wrong script. So, what can we really gather from that? There's not much because, again, he said Minnesota on both sides. But there's definitely stuff we can extrapolate. And this happened earlier, by the way. It was the UC LA game at home against Washington. When one of the announcers was referring to Washington, he was saying, should they kick an onside kick or should they kick it off and call timeouts? The other announcer responded by saying, well, Florida State's defense has been phenomenal tonight, so I think they kick it off. So, that being said, this isn't an accident when they're saying other teams' names that have nothing to do with the game. And not to get too deep into the rabbit hole, because I have gematria videos. I've used gematria, but I understand why a lot of people don't want to hear about it, because I can go to a gematria website and I can find something to fit either narrative, right? I can find something that fits that the Vikings win or the Saints win. So it's double coded. Not that it doesn't exist, because it does. It's just incredibly difficult to use gematria before the fact to predict games. So anyway, what I find interesting is, again, they're saying it's going to be a dogfight, and they're also saying that Minnesota is playing when they should have been talking about the Browns. Now, the reason I brought up the gematria is there is gematria and there's also symbolism, and that's what I like to focus on. So I find it ironic. It's not really irony. It's more of I guess it would be a crazy coincidence that the Saints' rival Falcons is the one that got mispronounced by this Marcus Spears, who called them the Vikings, and the Saints are playing in London, and the Falcons just happen to have a star that they're talking about all of a sudden. This guy London, that's blowing up for the Falcons. So like you see these coincidences, and so they're definitely out there. They're not just a coincidence. I just wanted to put that out there, that I focus on symbolism, I focus on gematria, but when it's just that, then it's easy to go either way. And a lot of this game I picked off of symbolism. Now, not to get too long-winded, a lot of people were talking about this game, and they think the symbolism points to the Vikings, and they think other things point to the Vikings. I like I said, I like the Saints, who are 0-3 against the spread. I think they get their first one on the spread. Also, Dalton is now in instead of Winston, but the spread hasn't changed. You would think that the Vikings would have become a bigger favorite. On top of that, Dalton and the coach for the Saints, Allen, it's their second trip to London. Dalton drew his first game, and I think they both might have drew. I think they were there because, I don't think much changed. I think they both drew, or Dalton, I don't know. I don't know, because like I said, I don't really watch. I just look at the numbers. But yeah, they both did not get a win in London, so it would be fitting that they get their win in London. So, not to go to belabor that one, but what I like here on the over-under is I like the under. And the reason I like the under is because, and this is almost like a hedge. It's not a complete hedge because obviously the over could hit and the Vikings can win. But I think this guy slipped up talking about like the dogfight atmosphere and rushing the ball. He didn't really allude to passing, or he didn't allude to a receiver that he thought was going to break out. And again, he's talking about the Vikings. So I know he's talking about the Browns game, but I believe he was actually talking about the Vikings. So since both times he was talking about them, it was in regard to running the ball and just it being a dogfight, close game. And usually those type of games, you're not going to have a really high score. So you compound that with the fact that the over-under seems to be too good to be true. I think 41 is very low. You would think these two teams, I would think it would be closer to 45. So based off of what I heard from him and the fact that I do think it's a little low on the over-under, we're going to bet to win 25 on the under on this game. And again, I could be wrong, but I do genuinely think that he wasn't. Oh, we don't want to bet that much, do we? Sometimes, I don't know why, it just does max bet. So anyway, we don't want to go too deep into like rabbit holes and things like that. But when he's talking about the Browns being a slugfest and more of a rushing game, and he says Minnesota twice, I feel like that's a good reason to think that maybe he was accidentally talking about Minnesota. And then also, that would indicate, in my opinion, more of a run-based dogfight that the under's going to hit there. So we now have the two outstanding wagers for that game, and we have a total of 4. So this one we have the under we just picked, under 41.5. Might change by like a half point or something, depending on your book. This one, I think the Commanders +3 is the trap of the century. Just my opinion, so we got that one outstanding. These are all 1 o'clock games too, so we'll be prepared for 4, but this way we can just cover 1. Here's the Saints. I like them +3. I think again, it will be a dogfight. And then the Texans +5. We have that one going too. So those are the 4 outstanding. And as you can see, we're climbing up nice. Without the outstanding wagers, we'd be up significant, but we're already up a lot. And that's essentially how the system works. As you can see, we're never going to win every game. It's just winning the favorable matchups more often than we lose them. So yeah, I know people, again, you want the Browns covered. I'm going to look more into that one because I still don't know what to make of it. I'm going to be completely honest, because there's what I believe to be a pretty normal line. I would think it's slightly a trap where it seems like the Browns maybe should be giving a few more points. We don't know with Garrett if he's going to play, like if the narrative's going to be he's out, so the Falcons are just going to trounce all over him. The Falcons are 3-0 against the spread, which makes me a little inclined to pick the Browns because, again, no team just keeps winning against the spread. But I don't have a concrete answer on this game. I will by Sunday. I can promise you that. But I thought it was more important to go into the Freudian slip because this is what I'm trying to show is these things aren't accidents. These narratives are so predetermined that now they're making the mistake of saying the wrong teams. So I hope you guys enjoyed, like I said, and we can go into our results. There's not much to change except obviously we hit on UCLA. That was for 20. We only had to bet 16 because we were underdogs there, and I was just fixing that. And on the Boise State game, we won that one too. So we netted 40 tonight, and then on Thursday, obviously, we hit both of those. So it would be good to win every single time, but unfortunately, that's never going to happen. But again, since we're exploiting the numbers, we are going to definitely net, and that's all that matters. But yeah, if other people have comments on things they believe for this Browns-Falcons game, please put it in the comments, because I do know a few people that put very interesting takes on people being pushed and narratives being pushed. I just haven't seen enough yet to see, if they're trying to push a narrative so people bet on this team, or if they're trying to push certain players like Patterson just because they want to make them superstars, and they actually are going. And here's the London guy. So yeah, you got London, and they're talking about the wrong team who's playing in London. So that's another thing, is I think this game is going to be very indicative of the first. And when they mix two games up, there's a good chance that they're similar type games, and that's why he might have made that mistake. So yeah, that's what I wanted to go into, is just showing how these people are phony, and going over the recap of the college games. We'll have a couple games for tomorrow probably, and I'll make sure to get them out in the early AM, probably like 8 or 9 o'clock. If we're going to do them, I'd have to look more into them. Alabama had me intrigued, as did Minnesota. Minnesota did, because the talking heads were all saying how they're going to cover the spread because they're undefeated against it. So it makes me want to do the opposite. But I can go into all that in a video. I heard that, and they'll probably take it down. I wanted to get it out there before it did get taken down. Go over a recap, and then just be honest about the Browns at this juncture. It's not a game that I'd go out of my way to pick. But like I said, we might know a lot more after the Vikings game, since when he was talking about Mariota and when he was talking about Chubb, he almost said Minnesota. So that might be a giveaway, and where we can almost do an audible, if you will, and see what's going on. But yeah, take care, everybody. Happy earnings. We had a good night again. And tomorrow, like I said, we'll have a couple games. And I'm really looking forward to Sunday. That morning game is going to be fun. I think that guy gave up the fact that it's going to be a low-scoring dogfight. So take care, everyone, and again, happy earnings. And thanks again for everyone that contributes in the comments, and everyone that's just leaves any kind of feedback. Just because I like to have any kind of dialogue with somebody, especially if you have if you think something's pointing towards the other team, I always take that into account. So I really would like any kind of feedback. Take care.